My name's Lazybed, and I've been a fight fan for over 30 years. As an accidental industry insider, I've become a staple in the chat rooms of some of your favorite podcasts.
I'm DangerMouse, an Englishman by blood, a Yorkshireman by the grace of God, a dedicated, devoted, and often sleep-deprived casual fan who once upon a time did earn a black belt in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
And my name is Austin, aka No Special, a former wrestler with a knack for all things grappling, who's not afraid of a fiery take or ruffling some feathers.
Together, we combine our individual expertise to dive deep into the current events and ongoings in the world of mixed martial arts, the big and the small. This is the Weekend Roundup.
Hey, you bleeders. We're back, and this time for a fight night in Sacramento, California, a venue the UFC hadn't visited since 2016 when we saw Michelle Waterson choke out Paige Van Zandt. Oh, those were the days, eh, when we had proper main events. Anyway, enough reminiscing. Welcome to episode 108 of the Weekend Roundup. I'm your host, Danger Mouse, and today we'll be looking at UFC Fight Night Hernandez versus Rodrigues. We're going to go over the main card from top to bottom, and we'll do a few from the undercard as well. And by we, I mean myself and Austin, because Lazy's hiding somewhere underneath the car, like John Jones underneath the cage when USADA's looking for him. Fingers covered in oil, no doubt. But anyway, a quick thank you to all the new subscribers, helping us on our way to 250 subs. And if you're one of the many new listeners, then click the subscribe button and ring that bell for all notifications. It costs now, even Yorkshire folk and Scotsmen can afford to do it. For the main event, we had Fluffy Hernandez returning from losing to and training with current middleweight champion Sean Strickland. He was the favourite going into the fight, but there was plenty of talk about whether his apparent weakness to body shots was going to be exploited by the hard-hitting Rodrigues. He certainly did punish Fluffy's body, but as it turned out, it was Fluffy's leg that gave him the most problems, and Rodrigues had at least 4 knockdowns via leg kick. It was one of those fights where they seemed to be taking it in turns to win rounds. A good enough scrap. In fact, he was nominated as Fight of the Night. Fluffy did try to make it a little bit dull with his grappling, but Robocop wasn't having any of that nonsense and closed the deal with a unanimous decision, 2 48-47s and a 49-46. I don't know who Austin picked in this one, but he's our California boy, and in this one, I'm going to racially profile him and say that he picked Fluffy in this fight. I don't think there's much doubt about it. So, hi there, Austin. How you doing? And was it accurate in my assessment there? Did you indeed pick Fluffy?
No, you and someone else assumed I did, and I picked Gregory Rodrigues. The only reason I didn't pick Fluffy is because I figured if Fluffy got hurt to the body, it would be over. And I was correct in my assessment that the body work helped Gregory Rodrigues to victory, but not in the same sense that of which I would have picked Fluffy, where he just gutted out of a near closer decision than should have been happening. I would have had he looked better in his last fight, I think. But that's Sean Strickland, right?
I actually switched over from Rodrigues to Fluffy just before the card started. Sick as a parrot.
That's the thing. So, well, because you said it. That second round, I think, had 3 knockdowns in it from him getting leg kicked to death. Right?
It was 4. He got a 4th one as when they were stood back up against the cage again.
Oh my God, yeah. And then the beginning of the fight played out pretty standard for Anthony Hernandez, where he just kind of clinches up against the cage and looks to dirty box, elbow, look for a takedown if he can. If he can't, he's just going to keep you busy on the cage, right? And that was fine. You still gave the round to Rodrigues, I think, because he had a little bit more work that he was doing on the feet. A lot of elbows from that clinch position too, to the side. And then the second round starts, and that's when Gregory Rodrigues just literally, Robocop arrives, and he just starts dismantling Anthony Hernandez via leg kicks and body shots, right? And then he was landing those combinations on the feet. And I don't know about you, but every time I see Robocop exist in a fight, I'm thinking this guy should probably be at 205 because he's fucking massive, right? And then he's got his arms down, right? He's got his arms down and he's just like throwing like a robot where he's like, but you could see him extend like 10% of his energy every time. And you're like, if he throws like 5 punches in a row, he's already gassed. But somehow Hernandez survives. Despite the leg kicks, despite getting beaten up against the cage several times in like 9 punch combinations of some shit, right? Or like getting, put on his back and then just nearly getting finished as well from top position from Robocop. He gets to the end of the second with the last 30 seconds on the clock in the end of the second. You can hear, I forget who had said it, but one of the announcers had said, this crowd is white knuckling to see, Anthony Hernandez give them an extended fight or something like that. And then you could see Hernandez just flip the switch and he just starts pushing Rodrigues against the cage with his stand up. And then he gets like last 10 seconds. There's like a combination that lands and he just keeps throwing. And then you see the crowd just lose their shit. And you like all the emotions of the crowd are starting to give Anthony Hernandez like this energy, this adrenaline that's kind of like pushing him to the next round. Right. And then he gets a takedown and the crowd loses their fucking mind. He survives. David, I think, said it in the chat. He's saying his corner's saying all the right things to him, giving motivation. You can tell Hernandez is hurt, but he's gonna gut through because that's what he does. It doesn't matter if he's getting hurt to the body or if he's got like one leg. He's gonna continue to fight. This son of a bitch is crazy, but he's gonna fight. He gets a fucking takedown in the first like 10 seconds of the match of the third round, and you can see like at the beginning of the round before they like the timer starts, Hernandez has this cheeky little fucking grin on his face, like he knows, like, oh, I got him right where I want him, and sure enough, like he takes him down, looks for submission right off the bat, and the crowd fucking loses it again. He survives, or Rodrigues does, to make it to the fourth. And then again, it's the momentum shifts because all Hernandez in round 3, like he had control positions. He looked for submissions. He landed a couple of ground and pound strikes, but it was primarily a control round for Hernandez, right? And then they get to the fourth. And the fourth round, again, it's the same thing as the second, a little bit less so, but like it's, Hernandez getting hurt and Rodrigues, piling on momentum as he goes into the fifth. And the fifth round is where it kind of like, okay, it's close. We're not concentrating on leg kicks from Rodrigues' side because he's trying to figure out how to finish him on the feet, but he's too slow and he's about 2 or 3 steps behind when the momentum shifts in the round. And Hernandez is just not strong enough to take him down on a consistent basis, but he's capable. He's getting killed on the feet in some instances, but then he lands like a straight jab that stuns Rodrigues, and then he counters again. You're like, oh my God, this fight is amazing. It had no business going to the fifth, but it did. It was a great fight. The right guy won. Hernandez, there's a question of fight IQ, but there's also a question of how much weight does this son of a bitch like cut? Because Hernandez, I'm imagining, probably walks around at 190 on fight night, maybe 195 if we're like being honest. Like he doesn't look like he cuts a ton of weight. Right? If you look at him, he's got a little bit.
He'll actually look slightly more in trim than he usually does this time, I thought. But
compared to who he was fighting against, a behemoth of a man in the middleweight division, you know what I mean? And there's a question of it. Thankfully, Hernandez probably not making a big ass weight cut probably saved him in this fight, taking a ton of damage as he did. But Rodrigues, if he had more energy, he probably could have finished that fight in the second round, right? There's no doubt about that. Maybe again in the fourth. Maybe he doesn't gas in the third, But there's a real question of fight IQ from Rodrigues' corner. And I don't know if you also felt that way watching the fight, because there's some things he did I did not like, where he would just constantly accept the position against the cage, where he would, fight off of his backside against the cage and then just eat a punch or two, right? Or get pushed constantly against the cage himself. He's the bigger man. And when he would do like straight combinations against Hernandez would counter him, and he would just kind of like have his arms down, like eating the strike. And it's like, God damn it. You had him dead to rights, and you're still letting him in the fight. But the crowd showed up for Hernandez. I think if this had been anywhere else, I think Hernandez loses fairly easily in the second. But because they were in close to where he lived, close enough anyways. But Sacramento showed up for their boy, and damn did he look good, even in a losing effort. Great fight. I'm glad he got the fight of the night. That's for sure.
Like you said, Rodrigues did actually at least prove that we now know he can go 5 rounds through an extremely tough fight, because Fluffy doesn't gas out, generally speaking. So yeah, great performance from him. I do wonder what's next for him. I don't know if you had a chance to have a look and pick a fight for either of them. To be fair,
so
I think Rodrigues has now should be like number 6 in the rankings. I think come Tuesday when they update them.
So I think that's the thing. I'm looking at the media rankings for the UFC, and
I always go by media ones.
The Rodrigues is 10, right, and Fluffy is 7 according to the media rankings. So you would guess that he becomes either 7 or 8, and then Hernandez drops down to probably 10. The only one that would make sense is either Kyle Baralho or Brendan Allen. And that's the thing for Rodrigues, right? Is that you're not going to get easier competition coming down for this fight.
No. He's going to get someone close to the top 10 at least.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brendan Allen. You said Brendan Allen, wasn't it?
Yeah, Brendan Allen. Yes.
I was thinking Arnold Allen. No, he's got
for Hernandez. I would tell you to give him a boost in Magomedov. Just give him an easy step down. If he could get past the first round, he'll be fine.
We could have him up against Relia Derrida, 2 winners from the same night.
No. He's a light heavyweight now.
Oh shit! Yeah, sorry. I'm looking at the rankings in the RDR in the rankings. Yeah, my bad.
No, yeah, because him and Deleedsley are now light heavyweights.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Joe Pfeiffer, Kai Brauhel, Brendan Allen.
You could probably give him. You could probably. No. DDP's not going to take that fight. You know what I mean?
Probably true. Yeah.
But Pfeiffer, if he's not willing to like sit out, might be a good interesting fight.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. Oh well. And Fluffy, any ideas for him? I guess he's probably going to have to fight somebody outside the top 10.
That's what I'm thinking. Like if he's down at like because now he's got 2 losses in a row. Now, mind you, he didn't get finished, but he definitely took a beating. So we'll see where he ends up as far as like availability. But I would say Abus Magomedov. If not, maybe venturing down to welterweight. He's a smaller of all the middleweights on this fucking roster at 15.
That's true.
The top 15.
I don't think he wants to give up the tacos though and move down.
No, I don't even think it's that. I think he's not a Kevin Gastelum. You know what I mean? I don't think he's ever really missed weight like that.
I know, but he has a nickname Fluffy for a reason. It's because he's fat, or was at least once very fat, presumably.
I think he can make 170. There's a question of whether or not he might be better down there.
Yeah, we'd have to debate what state he'd be in that weight cut. But yeah, I would say he could make 170 if he really wanted to. It's only 15 pounds more. He's got quite a few pounds. Well,
he probably could.
On the stuff that was covering his abs up in this fight, there's a few pounds there he could lose. So I don't think he'll struggle that much. I'm not hating on him either. All right, let's leave that one then. I can't drag Lazy in to speak about it because you're not here. I guess we have to go to the co-main event at heavyweight then. Serghei Spivac and Vitor Petrino. I had this as a very measured first round that saw Petrino smash Spivac's nose, and then he worked some kicks to easily win that first round. Round 2, Petrino worked hard to get a takedown, which is a bit of a surprise. He crushed Spivac up against the cage and then started working on his ground and pound. He did slip into mount briefly, and then he tried for a sub or two. Then he slipped off Spivac's back. And I think up to that point, it would have been a 10-8 round, but Spivac managed to bang a few more shots in and make a little attempt at choke himself, saved himself there. And then round 3, Spivac hurt Petrino with a couple of shots and forced him to go for another takedown. And then we had the 3 minutes of him rolling around a little bit. And then the final 2 minutes was your typical gassed heavyweights trying to find enough energy to throw a punch at each other. And To be fair, Petrino was mainly backing off because he knew he had 2 rounds maybe 2 or 3 rounds in the bag, so he didn't have to pressure it, and it was Spivac who just couldn't find the energy to push for any further forward. And yeah, Petrino took the fight 30-27, so I guess he's going to be in the top 10 when they do the heavyweight rankings again. So it brings the question: actually, is heavyweight actually starting to liven up a little bit? There are a few new faces appearing. There's one we'll probably mention in a little bit. In fact, yeah, because it's the opener to this card. So yeah, we'll be mentioning another guy in a moment. But yeah, what do you think, man? It wasn't the most exciting fight, I don't think, but it wasn't the worst heavyweight fight I've seen either.
No, there's plenty of terrible heavyweights on the roster. So by far, they weren't the worst, but definitely it says something about the division when it's like you got a light heavyweight kind of showing up, out muscling a heavyweight, a true heavyweight, and a guy who's kind of been in the top 15 a little bit here and there, and then just kind of like taking the fight not so much away from him, but just taking the the momentum of the fight away from the actual heavyweight and gassing and still winning. It wouldn't be so bad if we didn't already have a situation where heavyweight already had an issue with bodies in this very shallow weight class, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, well, he's a light heavyweight who kind of went 2-2, I think, and then came up to heavyweight, and now he's 4 in a row. This is his 4th win. He didn't look great, but he didn't look like complete shit. So I guess that says something. You know what I mean? And Spivac himself is not a bad heavyweight. There are things that he needs and he does not get to use a lot. And there are times like this where he has the ability to kind of, put pressure on his opponent, and he can't do it because he's already down by 2 rounds. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate for Spivac, but good for Petrino. There's a lot of shit that he needs to work on, head movement being one of them. And then just consistency with his cardio. Like if he gasses on a takedown attempt like he did in the 2nd round, god damn, man, you got to fucking, get your cardio back in shape. I know you put on some weight. You're not fat, but god damn. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Neither here nor there. He's going to be ranked, and heavyweight has some additional faces.
Yeah. Spivac's looking like he's in that gatekeeper role now, I think. He's going to be hovering around somewhere close to number 10 or something. He's clearly dangerous, but I think having his nose broken really fucked him up in that fight, to be honest.
A little bit, yeah. The effect with his cardio, possibly.
It can have really bad effects on fighters. And heavyweight, when your cardio isn't that great and you can't breathe through your nose anymore, it's going to be a bit tough. But yeah. We had another guy moving up in weight class for the next fight as well. The curtain jerker, as it were. The light heavyweight Renier Derrida versus Roman Dolidze. This was another fighter who was on the draft. We've mentioned it. We've got a few on this card. We'll get to them eventually. This was Super Dave Fairtex's RDR making his debut at light heavyweight and dispatching Roman Dolidze in very short order. Once this fight hit the ground, I think Dolidze dived for the legs, which RDR said he knew that was what he was going to do. And then he stuffed the takedown, took top position, and then just hammered down ground and pound on the very helpless Dolidze. And I believe this was referee Frank Trigg who had to step in and stop this fight. Very emotional RDR after the fight. He was obviously feeling the pressure from those, I think it's 2 recent losses. And then he came through with flying colours. So he's another name to consider at light heavyweight, because no one has really destroyed Roman Dolidze like that before, not in such short order, I don't believe. I don't know if I can drag Dave in to have a comment on this one. We'll see if he makes an appearance. But Austin, what did you have to say on it first?
No, well, I mean, it was academic. I mean, because like you said, there's like a clinch battle happening early on, and they're kind of playing pitter patter on the feet. And then once Roman Dolidze does that fake double leg attempt to a guard pull, I just knew it was over. I don't know about you, but I have zero faith in Roman Dolidze when he fights a better grappler or a more competent grappler, per se.
I am going to my room now, for I must slumber, per se.
Because the minute he did that and then RDR recognized it immediately, posted up and then just made sure not to lose the dominant positions. Because, there was like fucking 50 unanswered strikes at a certain point, and fucking Dom on the commentary is like, see, those are not really any real damaging. They're not doing anything. That's why you need a fighter who's a ref. That's why Frank Trigg is the best. And it's like, all right, Dom, calm the fuck down. Keith Peterson fucking like smoking a cig and having a fucking glass of whiskey in his hand, just thinking like, oh, fuck this guy. But there's a point where you're kind of looking at it, and RDR is just fucking loading up some strikes against Dolidze, and Dolidze has nothing to fucking offer in defense because he's never been good at defense, right? And again, like you said, when the fight ends, it's just academic. He just, he's eating too many shots. It doesn't matter. The actual look of the fight at that point, it just looks bad, right? He's not responding. He's just eating the strikes. It doesn't matter if he switches position or not. And then, for your point to where light heavyweight is now, he's a guy. He could be a guy in this division, but he just beat up a really low level middleweight, former middleweight, now 1-1 light heavyweight. Because remember, he beat Anthony Smith at light heavyweight on short notice. So I don't know if that says anything. So I mean, he's going to be a guy in this division if he gets another win. Just don't put him up against Bobby Knuckles, who just fucking managed to be at light heavyweight too. So this makes like the fourth light middleweight to make an exodus to heavyweight or light heavyweight. So it's like interesting. I don't know where you would put him. Put him up against someone like a oh my goodness, someone who's coming off of a loss, probably would make sense because he just showed up. And let's see if he can get like a win, and we'll go from there.
Well, there we go. Dave's here. What you got to say, man?
I will say,
congratulations, just 25 points.
Yeah, I'm really checked in about my draft these days, so I'm pretty stoked on it. But I will just say, epic all-time fail level fight IQ from Dolidze. I mean, I don't know, like RDR's stand-up is so bad, and Dolidze used to really be a hammer. Like, he was hammer of the month, and he wasn't a good striker, but he was at least dangerous. And just I mean, the way that the takedown sequence went, it was almost like he pulled guard, and that was just the worst place to be with RDR. He kind of went over, like, got back and mount several times, like whatever he wanted to do, he did on top. And so that was just Dolidze was never going to win the fight there. And so just all-time epic fail level IQ, and great win for RDR. I actually thought that Dolidze was probably going to win, but no, as soon as it went to the ground, it was just one-way traffic, and great job. But Dolidze might be done if he's immediately pulling guard against a complete a guy that's not even that threatening like RDR, then he's on his way out. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a fairly big guy, RDR, isn't it? I forget exactly how tall he is, but he's got the frame.
Well, he's like 4, I think.
He says he's 6'4", but I stared him down in Iowa, and I was like the same height he is with shoes on, and I'm like 6'3" with shoes on, barely. So I'm a little suspect on his height, but
it changes. It changes, I think.
Probably, yeah. Can we see him against Bogdan Guskov or Jan Blachowicz, Dominic Reyes? Any of those?
Bogdan probably makes more sense. That's the thing.
Give him Jan, because that's a winnable fight, and I like that.
Get Jan out of the top.
Yeah.
All right.
Fair.
I guess we're done with that one then. Yep. Up next was the lightweight fight between Markel Medeiros versus Mason Jones. This was a lightweight fight where our bleeders actually had some skin involved in this one because Mason Jones is part of their draft team. This was just a great scrap from the off. Both guys throwing and landing some serious heat. Then a back and forth grappling exchange. Jones started off on top and then slipped off, and Medeiros kind of finished the round, I think, on top. Then round two, they came out and they were just beating the hell out of each other, back and forth. And then Medeiros, I think, realized that his fists weren't really hurting Mason Jones very much. So he just switched to using short elbows instead. And he just clipped Jones as he was coming in with these nasty elbows. And I believe it was 3 in a row. And that was enough to finish the fight. All credit for Jones because he never went down. His chin must be made out of granite. I've seen a post. I saw a post on X saying that unconsciousness is a choice because Jones is stood there, and I swear he looks like a bloke who's just come out of the pub on a Friday night, having drunk 2 gallons of strong ale, and he's just stood there desperately trying to keep himself stood up, and he never fell over. So all credit to Mason Jones there. That he's a tough motherfucker. Yeah, really, really fun fight. I don't have anything else to say on it. Austin, did you see this one?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was fun because they were going back and forth, man. Mason Jones knows how to fucking make you fight.
Yeah,
that
bang.
might not be, it might not be worth a lot on paper, but he makes it a fun fight regardless. And then to your point, those 3 elbows. The only reason why he wasn't on the ground is because he was able to keep a balance just enough, and then Herzog, who actually stopped the fight, thankfully, he was able to stop it, and it had to hold him up because he was about to fall backwards if he did it. But hey, he ate all of the damage until that point. And to your recap, that was a very interesting back and forth fight. And I know Mason Jones is known for that kind of scrap to begin with. Like, he's either getting really competitive fights that he might not win outright, but he finds a way to get back into the fight one way or another. And I think the point is that and I forget who had said this. Mason Jones is that dude who has to get hurt in order to know that he can land on you, which is probably the reason why he lost. You know what I mean? Well, it says something to the fact that's like, okay, well, if I know I get hit hard, I know I can hit you hard because you're in my range. So he's got to learn how to adjust that, because at some point it's going to start adding up to where he might not be able to survive to the 3rd round if he keeps doing that in most of his fights now. Because he took on a young guy. Yeah, he's good. I don't know if he's there yet, but you wouldn't have thought that this dude's going to be a future champion with this performance, but he's a hell of a fucking fighter if he can find a way to shut the lights off on Mason Jones. Says something. This is why lightweight's fun, though. You could get this type of fight at any point of the rankings, and these guys aren't in the top 10 or 15. These guys are probably in the mid 30 to 45 range, and they're going to put on performances like this all the time.
Yep. I've just had a quick look on X to see because I saw a post from Mason Jones this morning. He said, "Face doesn't hurt, pride does. Plan was not to get hit with short elbows, and I got a bit too excited. You live and learn." So,
That's fair.
As he said, didn't go my way, made some mistakes, and paid the price. On to the next. So, yeah, it is what it is.
It's a good attitude to have.
And then on to the next one. This was another 2026 draft battle. Women's flyweight, Carly Crispy Judice versus Yeza Chavez. This was between Lazy's girl, Crispy Carly Judice, against my former ring girl, Yeza Chavez, who was dropped by a perfectly placed front kick to the belly/shoulder plexus. And I was going to give Lazy his moment in the sun, but he's not fucking here, so he don't get one. Normally, I do like a body strike stoppage. And I never actually thought Chavez was going to win this one. I did not pick her on Tapology. I was just hoping that she'd make it to a decision and maybe keep it boring. And but all the finishes on this card, and Dana White had to pick this one to give a bonus to. Yeah, I mean, the fight kind of went. I mean, I didn't realize Crispy Carly Judice was going to flatten Chavez quite that quickly. I thought, like I said, I thought it might go to decision, like a lot of women's fights, but it didn't. So, Austin, do you want to say anything on Lazy's girl or my girl?
Well, to your point, I thought Chavez, Gisela Chavez, I think is how you say it, but the thing that I thought she was going to be a tough out for.
Yeah, so did I.
Because Judice is a girl who you look at. Her record doesn't say a lot, but the way she's been fighting in the UFC does. And she goes out there to get a finish, even if she doesn't outright get it. I mean, I think she had Juliana Miller, I think, that she was facing last, and she could have put her away, but she tried. You know what I mean? There's some issues in the way she fights. Sometimes she leaves herself open a little bit, but she's not afraid to get in the pocket. That's the one thing you can say about her, is that she's not afraid to get hit and actually, land offense in accordance to that. She puts herself out there and she looks for openings and then looks to, counter a lot. And she's not afraid to get in the pocket when she has to. Chavez, I think, immediately gave her too much space and was riding against the cage. And I think that immediately put her in a bad position because, like you said, those teep kicks, I think I counted 4 of them that landed, especially a couple of body shots.
Yeah, she was working her body from early on.
Oh, yeah, from the beginning. From the beginning, she was working that. I was like, uh-oh, this is not good. Because the grappling attempt was there and then nothing else afterwards, right? So it's like, had the fight made it to the actual canvas, I think this is a different situation. But because it stayed on the feet as long as it did, that just gave Judice open range. And, Chavez couldn't counter or adjust to the body shots when they were landing. I mean, when that teep kick landed against the cage, and we didn't even get a good, like, when it first happened, I thought, oh shit, she fell. And Judice like pushed her or something. Nope, it was a teep kick to the fucking ribs, and you can see it. And just like that pain, that look of pain in the replay. Yeah. That hurt. I felt that shit, So
yeah, it's been there. It's not pleasant.
Oh no, yeah. Shout out to Carla Judice. She did the thing. Fuck Lazy because his team got points. But it was a fun fight. Yeah.
All right, then. We had the opener for this card. Was at heavyweight. Anthony Wint making his official debut just 11 days after he won his contender series debut. And he was taking on Terence Chapman, who was also fighting in the octagon for the first time. He came in from Fury. Wint came in about 35 pounds under the heavyweight limit. So he's another one of those mid-sized heavyweights that we're starting to see a lot of now. And he's one of those guys that actually has some athleticism. I believe he came from a football background. He's also done some wrestling when he was younger. Compared to Chapman, who came in at the full blobby 265 pounds. And after Wint, I was expecting a KO from Wint in this one, but he just went for the takedown very early on, which almost went bad because Chapman did have what was looking like a possibly serious Kimura attempt, but somehow he couldn't finish it. Wint ended up on top, managed to get into control. Then he slid over eventually into an arm triangle, and he just gave Chapman a bit of a nap. He wasn't the only person who went to sleep last night, but that was it for that one. Pretty good performance by Wint for his first round win. What more can you say about the guy, really? It doesn't look bad. For heavyweight, it looks like fun. I don't think this is a guy who could cut down to 205 pounds with the build he has. But what do you think, Austin?
Yeah, you like you said, he's in there to kind of just show up and take a victory when he can get it, because the way he kind of took that takedown, it was just kind of questionable. Like you said, he has some wrestling background and experience, but his football background, I think, is more like your Division II, Division III collegiate level, which is not the best. But I think he made it to a practice squad, if I'm not mistaken. But I can't remember if it was like for a semi-pro team or not. Anywho,
same as Josh Hockett then.
That's the thing. It's he has the athleticism that Hockett or some of these other smaller light heavyweights that we're seeing go to heavyweight look like. He probably could if he was disciplined and took time to make 205. It would suck, but he could probably do it. The problem is that then, are you risking getting TKO'd pretty quick? Because we didn't really see too much on the feet. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, he's athletic. He could probably take a punch, but, him taking the takedown in a risky fashion and nearly getting submitted the way he did with that Kimura attempt, there's questions. He's green. You could tell he's green, but he's willing to try. And as long as he's willing to fight often to get experience, I have no issue. Just keep scraping the bottom of the barrel. Let him get the in-cage time, so that way when he's ready to take on higher level competition, he's not like, green per se. He'll be slightly brown. And maybe he'll be on fire, come 2 years from now, burning through the division. By that point, hopefully there's more heavyweights, but who knows? Yeah.
Keep him away from Gable Stevenson maybe for the moment.
Oh yeah, no, too soon for that. Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, we have a ton of time left because Lazy's not here, and we've only kind of rushed through these. I guess we can talk about whatever we want on the prelims. I was just going to restrict us all to one. But I know there's one fight that we both wanted to talk about for not necessarily the fight itself, but something that happened within the fight, and it's the other draft fight. That's it's my MVP from my females. Chanel Dyer took on Elise Reed. Quality performance by Chanel Dyer. She's fast. She has good hands, good striking. She had much better striking than Reed did, and she was much faster than her as well. This was a fight that I thought could have been stopped in round 2. Elise Reed was seriously getting beaten up. The referee was just looking on as she was beaten, around the cage, and I was screaming it. I mean, I'll admit I had a bias. I had a round 2 stoppage for Dyer on my Tapology picks, but anyway, the ref let it carry on to the round 3, and then we actually had the camera come in with the coach talking to her and saying, "Do you want to go out there? Do you want to carry on? Have you got it in you?" And she kind of said yes. I kind of got the impression from what that coach was saying, he was trying to give her an out and sort of saying, "You don't have to go out and do this." I could have got it wrong. Maybe he was just checking it and wanted her to go out. But that was the impression I got on when I listened to it live. But yeah, Austin, I know you were interested in what the coach had said to or what the corner had said to Reed in this. So what do you think, man?
Well, to your point, your girl Chanel Dwyer, she's a like a real prospect in this division. Like she looks fucking great. There's no question about it. She's not risking a whole lot when she's taking opportunities to strike. She's disciplined. She knows her range very well. She knows her timing very well. She knows how to like get her opponent to like get in position to strike, which is great. Like her distance management is top tier. She's great. She's great.
If I can
you for picking her.
Well, if I can jump in, if I have one criticism of her in this fight, I think she was trying to look for that highlight KO.
Yes,
rather than just pushing forward and putting Elise Reed away, which I think she could have done if she had taken just slightly more risk. But yeah, sorry, Austin.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I would. That's fair. That's a fair criticism because you can see it a couple times where she's kind of like looking at her work after she strikes, which is that happens. But you're supposed to break out. Yeah, break that habit. But to your point, with Elise Reed's corner, because she got a big gash on her right side, I want to say of her eye, not in the eye, but on the side, and you can tell she got the fight beaten out of her after the second round, but she's there. She's sitting on the bench, and her coach is literally asking her, like you said. I think you're correct in your assessment, where he's like, "Hey, look, do you want to continue? Do you want to continue?" And that's a hard question for a fighter because they want to get paid to fight, and they're no one wants to admit that they're defeated, right? Her coach trying to give her an out, so it's not so much like, "Hey, you don't have it in you, I'm going to call it." Like he probably could have just done that and it would have been fine, but he gave her the option. And I think we want to see more of that when we see fights that are one-sided like this. We don't need to send fighters on a regular basis out to their death every third or second round when they're getting their asses whipped. She wasn't going to win unless she took the fight down to the mat. And even then she couldn't get it. Like there was no option for her to win the fight except the defeat. She could have easily said, "Yeah, I'm good." But, credit to her. She said, "I want to continue." And her coach actually tried. "Are you sure?" And, he probably could have stopped it regardless, but still, good on him. And, it's a tough decision to ask your fighter, "Hey, I know this is probably going to make you look weak, but, do you want to continue?" And, that's on the fighter to kind of put themselves in a position where they understand that they're not winning. And, credit to the coach because he understood the assignment, right? I know my fighter's not winning. I know that they're struggling. What are we going to do about it, right? I think we need to see more of that, even if it's, not ideal.
Yeah. Well, we saw it. We're not really going to talk about PFL, but we did see Islam Makhachev throw in the towel for one of his fighters that he was cornering. Oh. So if they can do it, I don't see why anyone else can't.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they probably know their fighters better than anybody.
They're trying to jump in. What we got
If I
there?
can interject, I think we're taking the wrong storyline away with any. It was a fine stoppage. It was fine. That was all fine. I think we're reading too much into that, and we should be shouting up how nasty Chanel looked. Almost like a mini Liddell or prime JJ in her striking, and we should be pretty excited about what's in the future for her. And she might be a real problem for some matchups, and I think that's more important than you
No, we did. We mentioned
crying
it.
about the
I thought
stoppage.
we said it. I thought we all said it. We were like, she's a dangerous person in this division. I don't know if she's there yet, but she's there.
That's not significant enough. She's dangerous for this. Shut up.
It's Elise Reed. It's not a top person in this division.
No, she was kind of being fed a target, but she's a very good striker. She has I forget, it's had a Muay Thai or kickboxing background. So it's kind of, it's almost the Dakota Ditch of a kind of method of getting into the UFC, become a great kickboxer, and then learn the grappling, etc. afterwards. Not comparing it to Dakota just yet, but yeah, she's has that same kind of background.
She's getting there.
Yeah, well, she's got a loss, which Dakota hasn't, but yeah, she's improving. That was a hell of a scrap though on Contender Series. That was the one she fought last week as well. The girl who beat her. I can't think of her name now. Very like a sieve. Is there a particular fight you want to go, or shall I just go up through a few more that I've got notes on?
I was just going to talk about the Nasrat Haxbrass Taco Padilla, Chris Padilla. That fight was interesting just because it felt like, tell me not, it felt like Nasrat wasn't like able to find Padilla on a regular basis with the striking. Like he's struggling to kind of corner him, cut him off. Chris Padilla was looking to counter a lot, but not really press the offense. And when they did, it almost felt like Chris Padilla was kind of like holding a lead almost, and not really trying to advance his offense per se. You know what I mean? And towards the end of the third round is when it finally started like getting interesting, because like it was like a decent fight. I wouldn't call it like a great fight at all, but it was interesting because Chris Padilla landed like a straight or a right hook, if I'm not mistaken, and dropped Nasrat. And that's when Nasrat kind of like spazzed out a little bit, trying to look for like clinching exchanges. And then I think Chris Padilla got a head and arm choke, and I can't remember if, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was like a takedown attempt to a head and arm choke, and that's when the bell rings. Right, he's got the choke on, and he has like 3 seconds. Right?
No. Okay. They were like in a clinch. It was like it wasn't a takedown. He just kind of like muscled it, almost like how Shavkat got the guy. So he was standing.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. I couldn't remember how he got into the ground. Yeah,
and he actually held him against the fence like that for a while, and then
it was a standing arm triangle,
and then they fell down. And
okay, so that's what it was, because I remember him getting it on the feet first, right?
Yeah,
because he got it on the feet, and then they fell down. And I couldn't remember if it was a takedown or something like that. But regardless, the bell rings and he's unconscious. Nasrat is. You would say the fight right before that is like, okay, he separates them because he didn't tap. He didn't really like check to see if the fighter was unconscious or not. And the ref was I just said it, Frank Trigg. And Trigg literally looks at him as Chris Padilla is walking away, and you could tell like he's just out. He's not there. He's gone. He's dead. He's dead on the mat. And then like shout out to like, regardless if it goes to decision after that, like the whole object should be, if he's unconscious, he can't really stand to defend himself anymore, right? Even if it's after the fight, that should determine whether or not the fight should be, even if it's after the bell. If you can't stand after it's immediately over, I think that should say something, you know? And I think that was the right call. I think
no, if you can't stand after the bell rings, then you lose by whatever you lose by TKO or by submission, because you can't get saved by the bell. Mm-hmm. So that's
the thing. That's the rule, right? I can't remember if that's the rule or not.
You have to get back to your own stool under your own steam.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
good.
the rule.
Okay, good. I wasn't aware if it was or wasn't that because like you could tell clearly he was unconscious.
Oh yeah.
No, and I don't think there was controversy to that call. I don't know who said it. It was on I think it might have been Chris Wyman actually. Now that I think about it, because he's like, on the desk, sometimes they say some silly shit, So Chris Wyman asked Tim Thomas, like, was that controversial? Because it was after the bell, right? It's after the bell. Shouldn't that not matter? And it's like, no, God damn it, Chris. No, that's not how this works. If he's unconscious, you can't really do anything. He's dead. It doesn't matter. It's over.
Yeah,
I think Tim Thomas said it.
Yeah, completely legit finish. I originally had Padilla on this one, and then I foolishly watched MMA Guru, and he put me onto Nasrat Hakparast. So yeah, cost me a win there. Yeah, that standing arm triangle, as you said, they fell to the floor, and it just cinched up even tighter. And then once he released his arm, when the bell went, you could see the guy's, his eyes were closed. He woke up very shortly afterwards. He wasn't unconscious for long, which is why he was probably protesting, because he just didn't remember the fact he'd been to sleep for a couple of seconds. Yeah, crazy finish there. Don't see those very often. It's almost a shame he didn't keep it standing, and then he could have just let him go like John Jones, and I forget who else has done that to fighters. Just let that finish, yeah.
Question for this before we move on. Do you think it was a competitive or close fight?
Oh, it was competitive. Padilla stopped the action. He was throwing a lot of oblique kicks at Nasrat's knee. So every time he tried to step in and start the action, he'd run onto the flat of his foot, and that cut his offense down. Certainly in the first round or two, but it was pretty close up to then. Without the choke, it might have gone either way. I haven't looked at the refs.
Yeah, that's what I think. If that knockdown doesn't happen and Nasrat doesn't spaz out, he might have got a questionable decision.
Yeah, possibly split decision. I would have had it at that point, I think. So, like I said, it didn't look. I should have checked before we did the show, but I didn't. Bad me. Yeah. We've got to mention that. I think Dave mentioned it before we started recording the show. Anyway, another heavyweight bout: Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Shamil Gaziev, the Blob. Which this one we just had Kennedy just playing that dangerous game he likes to do. Hands down low, swinging around like he's a fucking lightweight. Thinks he's Bobby Green at heavyweight, and except he isn't, because he paid the price for it. He slipped to the wrong side, just presented his chin to Gaziev, and Gaziev very obligingly crashed straight right into it, I think it was, and sent Kennedy and Nzechukwu straight to the land of wind and ghosts. This was my KO of the night, I think. I loved this one. He just he dropped. He was dead when he hit the fucking floor. And he didn't get a bonus. I mean, I get 25 grand, I guess, but.
No, it should have been on the list, the short list of performance bonuses, but it was funny because I don't think you could have scripted it better for Gaziev, because he's just he's coming off of getting his ass kicked, right? And he he wanted to make a point. I thought it was fucking hilarious because when it happened, I'm like, oh, he did not just fucking get clipped. And I was like, oh, he's dead. Shamil does the thing where he's shouting all crazy because he's happy he won, and he's ecstatic about it. But I just thought the sequence was hilarious because it's both hands down, trying to smooth shoulder roll and shit against the cage, and I'm like, oh, he's fucked. He saw it, just that straight right, and because he was trying to do the thing like he said, Bobby Green does, where he just hands down, plays with your distance management, and then tricks you into thinking you're beating him, and then you actually get finished. And you can't do that at heavyweight, because everyone can knock each other out pretty quickly, especially at the lower end of the division. But good for Shamil Gaziev. I just thought it was hilarious because when it happened, I was like, oh, he's dead. Good time.
Yeah, he just stiffened up before he hit the floor. He was completely out. Probably the cleanest KO of the night, I would say. Although, again, the Carly Judice, I guess, with the body shot, a pretty convincing KO as well there.
Well, it not necessarily the cleanest, but you also have to give a shout out to Marcio Barboza, because the way he KO'd Ryan Coos, I've never seen before. The dude was like unconscious, but his eyes were open and his mouth was open for like a few seconds, just like laying there, not knowing what's going on. And great job for the ref stopping the fight and noticing, because he almost looked conscious, but the ref noticed that he was unconscious and he stopped the fight. So
he was lost.
KO.
He looked lost. Yeah.
He was gone. He was gone. But I mean, his eyes
temple
were
shot,
open,
right? It was a temple shot that caught him and dropped him, and that was it.
Yeah, just kind of a lead hook, kind of like winged off the top of the skull, and this that he has like really must have really hard hand. Lazy said he had like sledgehammers for hands or something. He was tapped because
apparently did. Yeah, it looked like it. I thought he beckoned him back up actually after he'd hit him that time, and then he didn't seem to react to it, which might explain if he was so dazed. And then he tried to step in, and it was Jason Herzog, who did a really good job last night. Actually, he stopped quite a few good fights. But yeah,
maybe criticizing Herzog got him back on the fucking job.
He probably don't want booing the way Herb Dean's been getting booed everywhere he goes.
Oh no, yeah, I thought that was hilarious because they did that in the main event too. And your referee in charge is Herb Dean. Boo!
He's not very popular.
It's great.
He might want to go on holiday for a couple of months, let people forget about him. You can go and referee one. He does a lot of that anyway.
Oh, Jamal Elmer's also got a knockout.
He did, yeah. I don't have any notes on it, but
I think that was similar to what we were talking about with the other fight too, where it's just like one fucking great shot against the temple.
Yeah, it was a straight right and then some ground and pound. That's all I've got. The only notes I have down for the fight.
It was a nice finish.
Yeah.
He was he was kind of a big underdog, but I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter at all.
Yeah.
That dude was on a win streak. Even finishes consistently in the first round.
That guy hardly ever fights. Like, he'd been gone for a while, I think. Like, it's no big deal. I mean, he got a win, good for him, but it doesn't mean anything.
Oh, Jamal Elmer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah. I'd even made a special drink for that one from Gaff Pierre from One More Round. He'd suggested that I make a gunslinger, so I had one, and it didn't work out. It was a very nice drink. Didn't work out too well for Larry and Douglas, though.
Well, the other gunslinger won.
Yeah, Jamal Elmer's, yeah. Well, we might as well just briefly mention it because I thought it was a fun fight. It was one of the few. It was the only decision on the undercard. The absolute scrap between Gage Young and Stanley Dawsonville. Dawsonville was getting beaten up in the first round, and then he took it. He started coming back in the second and in the third. I thought he was going to go home with a 100K bonus, but he didn't. He obviously got 25K for it. Oh no, sorry, he wouldn't even get that actually because he didn't get a finish. But yeah, fun little fight. He was 5-0 and he looked surprised when he won it. When the referee called his name out, he was, oh, holy shit, I won that one. So it was a really, really close fight. Like I said, I would have given that fight the fight of the night.
You can't. The way the main event did.
I know. I can see why they gave it the main event. It's very
agreed. I think you should give them something regardless, because that was a fun scrap. Because that fight should not have been as entertaining as it was. Matter of fact, it shouldn't have left the first round because Gage was like beating the shit out of him. But
the UFC still does get backroom bonuses and 5-10K. So this is all who knows? They've probably got a little extra something.
I hope so, because that was fun. I mean, Gage Young should have finished him, but he got to the end of the fight. I don't know what happened, like specifically with his mentality, because he just kind of like went from like winging punches and clipping him every single like combination he was throwing to like eating uppercuts to just like accepting bad positions in third. So adrenaline dump maybe, but still, yeah, I thought he could have won it. But neither here nor there.
Absolutely. All right, that's covered most of the card then. We will cover Tapology because we had some fun there. This was going to be a glorious. This was going to be a glorious week, Austin, because we have a top three. All the JBR crew. Lazy Bed came in third with 530 points, 9 correct finds. You came in second place with 570 points and 10 wins. 10 out of 13. That's pretty good. And yours truly, I'm afraid, came to spoil the show. 580 points. I pipped you by just 10. And unfortunately, I only managed to get eight correct fights, but I did get 3 perfect and 2 semi-perfect. That gave me the extra points.
Yeah, those are killer. Those are major points.
Yeah. To get 3 perfect, that's pretty unusual. Also puts me top of the league. I have finally overtaken MMA Autist at the top of the league. Not by very much, but I have overtaken him. And I suppose we should score the card as well. And there's only the 2 of us, unless we can drag Dave in to give a score.
Dave can give a score. He saw the fights.
Yeah, and we can bully one out of Lazy maybe on the Discord.
Oh, I know what he's going to say. I guarantee Lazy's would be 4.
No.
You're always so wrong. I'm going to cut that out. You guys are always so wrong on what you think.
I'm just teasing.
If you're wrong, you can kick it out.
It's not nice. He's not here to defend himself.
Oh, my God.
You can hear it.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Fine. I'll say this was an 8. This was a fun fight, fun main event, fun fight, and fun night of fights in Sacramento. And anytime they're in Cali, they always seem to have a decent card. So, yeah, 8 for me. 8 for me.
Dave, do you want to chip in?
I'll give it a 7. Good enough fights. No, actually, I'll give it a 7.5. I mean, there was 10 finishes on the card, and so. But it doesn't get me that hyped just because we've had so much stoppages and whatnot lately. But a fine night, a fine fight night, 7.5.
Nice.
I was just looking to see if I could steal something from the zip code for Sacramento, but I can't. It's far too high. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Austin. It's got to be up that kind of 8-ish range. I'm going to give it an 8.18, just to pick me slightly. One of my lucky numbers, 18. So,
thankfully, regardless of how the fights were going, that main event sold out. Like you thought it was going to end in the second, and the fact that it kept going into the third and fourth, and then the fifth, the way it ended. Yeah, that's a 10. That's like a high level like card for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were loads of good fights on it. They weren't really none of the decisions were particularly bad ones. Maybe the Petrino fight wasn't the most exciting one, but
that's like the one sore spot on this card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can't really complain about it too much then. We will be back then next week for, I believe it's UFC Shanghai. So all you Americans will have to get up in the ungodly hour of the morning, whereas I'll get up and it will be lunchtime for me, probably bacon sandwiches and a nice cup of coffee while I watch the fights. And laughing at Main Card Minute because they'll be up at the ungodly hour of like 7 o'clock in the morning to watch fights. Dave might want to cut my rambling out. As usual, I don't have an ending for the show, so we're out of here.
I've got an ending.
Okay, Dave's got an ending. I'm out of here. Bye.
Let's give a quick shout out to Chris Cyborg, who didn't defend her title, but be a legit challenger that weighed more and she had a tough fight, and she's been around since Ronda Rousey days, maybe a little bit before, and she's still out there beating relatively tough competition. So great job, Chris Cyborg. I imagine you're going to go sign with Scott Coker. But great job. You're still winning. And that is the Weekend Roundup. I said I had an ending, so this is the ending. Good night and good luck. Like and subscribe, share, tell your friends.
We did it! Yeah!
We did that. Mouse is not totally gone. We need something from Mouse. Little comment, Mouse. Did I get a comment? He's fucking silent. He laughed. This mother. You
kicked it from the fucking tree.
I didn't kick him. Austin.
Yeah.
Did you hear the one?
The what?
Um,
You started off with something and then you just kind of fell off mid sentence.
Too many edibles.
There's a moment. Fuck, what was it? In the Renier Derrida Roman Dolidze fight where fucking Dominic Cruz. And I didn't listen to the broadcast the entire time. I was just kind of like in and out listening to it. But he just does this thing where he's like defending Roman Dolidze from getting finished. And it's not so much that he's defending Roman Dolidze. He's defending the fact that the ref isn't stopping it. He's like, see, that's why we need more fighters as refs. Because he knows the difference. And it just looks terrible. Like he's just like eating these shots and not responding at all. Just, and then there's a point where Roman Dolidze gets back up and he's like about to crawl away, and then Rene Ritter just like fucking decks him from like the underside, and his face just goes flat against the fucking canvas. He's like, "No, it's not looking good here, Dom," because Bisping is in the fucking coach.
Another one bites dust.